What's up, Tasty Nation? Welcome to the newest series that I'm hosting called Options in Action. I'm really excited about this because we're going to take some of the old whiteboard videos where we talk about the basics of call options, the basics of put options, and all kinds of concepts and strategies, and we're going to throw on a level 2 to it. So what I mean by that is, if you haven't checked out the beginner content, check out the old whiteboard series. Today, we're talking about call options. So if you are familiar with call options, great. If you're not, check out the whiteboard series on call options available on YouTube as well as tastylive.com. But we're going to add another layer to that. We're not going to talk about what call options are. We're not going to talk about the definition of call options. We're going to talk about the practical utilization of call options and how I use them today. So we're going to talk about the long side and the short side. So let's start with the long side, buying calls. If you're familiar with call options, you know that buying calls can be a high reward, low risk strategy in terms of how much money you can make relative to your max loss, which is simply your capital outlay or debit paid. But there's a couple of nuances with call options and long call options that I wanted to talk about. And really first is the question of, if I were to choose, let's say if I wanted to be bearish or bullish, what strategy would I choose? Would I choose buying calls to try and make a profit, or would I choose buying puts to try and make a profit? And buying puts and talking about put options is going to be the next video that we talk about. But just to give you a quick answer, it's absolutely going to be buying calls. That's not only because we tend to see upside drift in the markets over time, but objectively speaking, you can make more money on an upside move if you're buying an out-of-the-money call option where you're buying a call that's above the market price and the market moves to your strike compared to the downside. If you're playing for a downside move in the market, there's one key aspect of the market that really makes a big change in that options price, and specifically a lack of profitability to the downside. And I'm going to show you that today. So we're going to look at the Tasty Trade platform, and we're going to talk about and really show you a real life example of the profitability aspect of buying a call versus buying a put option. And the one key factor that I referenced in the intro is the stock price or the index price or whatever the price is that you're buying these options against. When you look at the Black-Scholes model, you will quickly realize that it is complex. I don't need to know the Black-Scholes model. I just need to know that there are certain inputs that go into the Black-Scholes model to produce options prices, and one of those inputs is the stock price. So S&P 500 has had a massive rally from the lows. We went from 7,000 in SPX to basically 6,300 and then all the way back to 7,000, and we did it in short order, as you can see. Just an absolute face-ripping rally here. So what I want to show you today is I want to look at, let's say you perfectly timed this sell-off and you perfectly timed the rally. What would have been your profit potential on a downside move if you were buying puts versus buying calls? So let's look at buying a put first. When we look at buying a put, we are playing for a downside move, and I'm going to show you very quickly that you cannot make as much money on the downside from an out-of-the-money to at-the-money move buying puts as you can with out-of-the-money call options. And again, the reason why that is because the stock price is decreasing on the way down. And what does that do to all options around that new stock price? It decreases the extrinsic value, all else equal. Now, of course, in the S&P 500, if you get a downside move and you get an implied volatility expansion, that's of course going to help the appreciation of an option on the downside, but the stock price decreasing really dulls your profitability. So again, SPX went from 7,000, we'll call it, all the way down to 6,300, and it vaulted right back up. If we look at the Tasty Trade platform and we right click on this, you can see view option and chart. I'm going to view this option, and we're going to look at the end of February, beginning of March. This is really when the market started tanking. And as you can see, this option in June, we're going to go out to June and we're going to give ourselves a lot of time. So we're not going to cherry pick the near-term contracts that can be much more volatile. We're going to go to June and we're going to see, okay, at the low, so before the market was selling off, the SPX 6300 put was trading for about $10,000, we'll call it. You can see here, this is kind of the low region, around $10,000. And at the peak of the sell-off, at the end of March, this option got up to $26,000. Now, that's a great return. If you were playing for that move and you caught it, that's a huge return. However, when you look at the call side, you are going to see a much bigger appreciation in that option, and we're going to show you why and talk through why. So again, 10K to 26K, that is about a 2.5x in terms of the premium you paid. Going back to SPX and just looking at the June cycle, 7,000 call strike. Got to scroll all the way up here because this rally's been absolutely insane. If we look at this option, and we can even, we looked at out of the money options, let's actually go a little bit higher and let's get rid of this intrinsic value of 20 points just to keep things fair. So let's look at the 70-30 option that's still out of the money today. Let's right click on that and view the option in the chart. So the first thing that we need to realize is, okay, when the market was selling off, we're looking at a 7,300 strike call, or a 70-30 strike call. This option was trading for $2,500, $3,000. Now, the option was significantly out of the money, and the market had put skew in this cycle before this option was purchased. So put skew, or skew in general, just means that the options are more expensive on the skewed side. And if you're buying those options, you're not going to be able to get that real super strong appreciation in the price because you're buying an option that's already expensive. Now, looking at this, at the very low, at the end of March, this option was trading for about $3,000, we'll call it. And into this rally, you can see here, we got as high as today's price of $20,000. So this is almost a, 7x compared to a 2.5x on the downside. So even if you had purchased the put and you timed it perfectly, you did make a ton of cash. But the call option in terms of a percentage increase was significantly more. And it doesn't matter what stock you look at, doesn't matter where you're looking for this kind of stuff. If you evaluate perfectly timing a move to the downside and then evaluate perfectly timing a symmetrical move to the upside, in this case, it's perfect timing because SPX dropped and then it rallied. We have this nice V bottom pattern. We can quickly and easily analyze this. But again, this is to show that if you are buying call options, longer term call options, you can make much more on a percentage basis than downside puts. So now let's take that a step further. Let's say that 40% of the time I'm correct, or 50% of the time I'm correct. You're going to have a lot easier time having a net positive P&L if you assume that your win rate is 50%, but you can make 6x, 7x on the call option where you can only make 2x, 3x, maybe 4x on the downside with the put option. So your max profit potential is, of course, unlimited with a long naked call here, but this is just to show that I don't think we talk about this enough. The value of an increasing stock price and how that affects all of the options around that increasing stock price. And again, to quickly answer the question, if I were to choose to buy calls or buy puts, it's going to be buying calls to try and time a move or make as much as I can on my debit paid, simply because the Black-Scholes model helps us out into upside moves. And this is even into a volatility collapse. We saw the VIX drop, we saw volatility futures drop, and even with that, you're seeing a much higher multiplication potential on an upside move in SPX. Or an upside move in general on anything. Because when you look at a higher priced product, the at-the-money options are going to be more expensive than a lower priced product, all else equal. So that's the long side. Buying options, buying calls, you might ask yourself, what strike do you choose? What expiration? That's where I like to say you get what you pay for. So another good example of a naked call option that I actually own in this portfolio is in Nike. So Nike, as you can see, I own this call option all the way down here, 645 days out. And a really quick and dirty answer is, Nike is at decade lows. The last time we saw Nike sub 50, it's at 45 right now, was almost 10 years ago. We have multiple years of price extremes here in Nike. And the further down we go in price, again, same story here. The further down we go in price, the cheaper these call options become because the stock price is getting depressed. So at the same time, I look at this implied volatility and I'm like, okay, We have a decade low price in Nike. Nike's at $43. These options are going to be relatively cheap anyways, just because of the depressed price point. And you have a low implied volatility here of 40%. So I went out here and I looked at the 60 strike and I was like, okay, I have 2 years for this to work out. I can buy this 60 strike by itself for $500 and it's within the expected move. And really a 15-point rally in Nike over the course of a year or a year and a half is well within the realm of possibility, at least from my assumption. So my whole thing is like, yes, buying calls, near-term calls is a high risk, high reward situation. If you want to reduce your risk and increase your probability, think about considering longer term calls. Again, you get what you pay for. The longer term your option is, the less implied volatility value you're paying for, and the more time value you're paying for that option. So this call here, trading for $500, there is a very high probability that I can close this out for some kind of profit over the course of a year or year and a half before this option expires. I'm not planning to hold this option to expiration. I'm just trying to take a chunk out of the move to the upside if we get it, and I'm giving myself a ton of time for it to work out, and we've got a very high probability of P50. This is a really cool feature of the tastytrade platform, the probability of reaching 50% of max profit at any point before expiration. In this case, it's using the debit paid. So paying $5, making $250 on it, high probability that we get there because of the time allotted to this position. And just another real quick way to show you that you are paying for a lot of time value relative to implied volatility value is to just analyze the days to expiration relative to the expected move in these cycles. So we're looking at May, 30 days to go. You've got a $2.60 implied move. If you go to the 63-day cycle, and if implied volatility were linear, which it's not, you should expect to see, since we're doubling the time here to 63 days, I should expect to see my 260 or 270 increase to 525, 530. So I'm looking for, if implied volatility was linear, in this example, I'd be looking at a 260 implied move for 30 days and a 540 or 530 implied move for 63 days. We're not seeing that. We're seeing 63 days representative of a $4 implied move. So because it's not 1 for 1, it's actually less implied move as you go further out in time. That tells you that your ratio of time premium relative to implied volatility premium is lower. And if you're buying a call, that's what you want. You don't want implied volatility value dragging on your profit potential. You don't want a high accelerating drag on your extrinsic value premium. And if you even double this again, go from 63 days to 120, your $4.40 does not go up to $8.80. It's actually $7.60. So again, the further out in time you go, the more time value you're buying, the less implied volatility value you're exposing yourself to. And it gives you just a lot of time for you to take a chunk out of that option if you're buying calls. Now, real quick, selling calls. I don't like to sell naked calls in equities. I think we see this move all the time where, markets are down, they're depressed, and then you get an absolute rip to the upside like we saw in Microsoft, for example. Microsoft is on a tear. It hasn't stopped rallying over the last couple of days here. And these are the things that I don't like to be involved with undefined risk to the upside. Now, if I bought a call and I'm selling a call against it to try and hedge, that's totally different. But selling a naked call in an equity, I think the reward is just your premium paid, and your risk is infinite with unlimited upside risk and how high a stock price can go. So I don't like dabbling with short calls by themselves in an equity. I do like pairing them with 100 shares of stock, getting into covered calls, or getting into, again, calendar spreads, diagonal spreads like we talked about before. But another thing to consider with short calls is just the fact that same kind of story when we talked about long calls in SPX and how you can buy them more cheaply into a big sell-off. If you have a rally like this, you can actually sell the calls at a higher premium, especially if there is call skew. So Microsoft, currently trading at 418. Let's just round it to 420. May, 29 days to go. If we look at the 400 strike, 20 points out of the money, and we look at the 440 strike, 20 points out of the money, you can see in this example, they're trading for about the same value, right? 440 trading for about $1,000, 400 trading for about $1,000. But let's look at something further out on the plane here. What about a 400 here and a 440 here? We're seeing a little bit of call skew be presented here, 1450, 1490 relative to 1430, 1480. So I think if you look even further, let's look at something that's 40 points out of the money, the 380 trading for $9 and the 460 trading for just over $9. So when you see this kind of premium on the upside, I'm more inclined to want to sell it against 100 shares of stock or against a call option because I'm making the most of the premium I'm collecting relative to the profitability I'm capping on the upside. In SPX, you're going to see a very similar thing. Now, interestingly enough, with SPX, short calls, the further out in time you go, the more interest rate premium you're going to get on the call side. So we used to have an environment where there was only put skew in SPX and SPY. The calls were really cheap because you had a zero interest rate environment. There was no interest rates priced in the call side. Now, you don't see that. So if we are to look at, let's say, a longer term call option, let's go to July, for example. Let's just see, we're trading at 7,000, we'll call it. Let's look at, a 7,100, 6,900 here. Okay, so the 6,900, 100 points out of the money, trading for 15K, not too shabby. But the 7,000, the 7,100, trading for 20K. So you have clearly a call skew being priced in here, and it's not necessarily skew, it's more about the interest rates that are priced into these options. So another cool way, if let's say you have 100 shares of SPY, if you sell a call option out of the money, especially as you get further down the line on the time frame, you have the ability to harvest that interest rate and capture more premium. And still, if you get tested on the upside, you have the ability to buy back that option, roll it out in time, maybe move the strike up and collect more premium and just adjust where your max profit is on those shares. So that was a lot. I tried to just talk about call options. Clearly I failed. But this is kind of how this is going to go. I'm going to reference the old video, the whiteboard video for call options. You can check it out on YouTube or on tastylive.com. Refresh your memory for that one. I certainly look a lot younger because those were 10 years ago. The videos were created, but this is how we're going to do it. We're going to take those beginner concepts and we're going to apply them to real life markets. And I'm going to teach you how I view these things. We're going to go through the entire Rolodex of strategies and concepts. Let me know what you think. If you like it, please like this video, subscribe to the Tasty Live channel. But yeah, let me know in the comments below how you are using call options. Maybe there's something I missed that you want me to follow up on. Let me know. But this has been the first video of Options in Action. We'll catch you next week when we talk about put options. Peace.